I was in the middle of a quarterly review meeting when my phone buzzed. The notification made my stomach drop. Motion detected. Front door. I glanced at the timestamp. 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Nobody should be at my condo right now. "Excuse me for just a moment," I said to my supervisor, stepping out of the boardroom. I pulled up the security camera app. My hands suddenly cold. The feed loaded, and there she was. My older sister, Melissa, letting herself in with a key I didn't know she had. She wasn't alone. Her husband Trevor was with her, carrying empty storage bins. My heart hammered as I watched them move through my living room. Melissa pointed at something, laughing. Trevor nodded, pulling out his phone. They were heading toward my home office, toward the antique desk where I kept grandmother's collection. I texted her immediately. "Melissa, what are you doing in my apartment?" The three dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, "Mom said you wouldn't mind, just picking up some of Grandma's old stuff. Our new house needs artwork, and you're not even displaying them. Family shares, remember?" I stared at those words. Family shares. That phrase had haunted me my entire life. 26 years of being told to share with Melissa. Share your toys, share your room, share your university fund, because Melissa needed it more. Share, share, share. And what did I ever get in return? I'm Jade Morrison, and I work as an art authentication specialist at Harrington Auctions in Toronto. It's not the flashy career my family hoped for. When I told them I was studying art history at the University of Toronto, my father actually laughed. "Art history? What are you going to do? Work in a gift shop?" My mother was more diplomatic but equally disappointed. "Melissa's doing her MBA. That's a real career, Jade. Couldn't you do something more practical?" But I loved it. I loved the detective work of authentication, the thrill of discovering a piece's true history, the way a single brushstroke could tell you everything about when and where a painting was created. After 5 years at Harrington's, I'd built a reputation. Museums consulted me. Private collectors trusted my eye. Last month, I'd authenticated a group of 7 sketch that sold for $200,000. My family never asked about my work. To them, I was still just Jade who played with old paintings. 3 months ago, our grandmother passed away. She was 92, sharp as a tack until the very end. In her will, she left her entire art collection to me. 47 pieces she'd accumulated over 7 decades. My parents were confused. "Why would she leave you all that? Melissa has a house, she has wall space. You live in a 1-bedroom condo." But Grandma knew. She'd always known. When I was 8, she'd taken me to the Art Gallery of Ontario. I'd stood in front of a Tom Thomson painting for 20 minutes, just staring. She'd squeezed my hand. "You see things others don't, little bird. Don't ever let them tell you that doesn't matter." The collection had been sitting in storage since the funeral. I'd only recently started bringing pieces home, 1 or 2 at a time, for proper examination. Most were probably worth a few $100s each. Nice but not remarkable. Reproductions, tourist pieces, some local Ottawa artists from the 1960s. But last week, I'd found something that made my hands shake. It was a small pencil sketch, barely 8 by 10 inches. A woman's face, rendered in quick, confident strokes. The signature in the corner was smudged, but the style was unmistakable. I'd photographed it, sent it to my colleague David Chen, our senior specialist in European modernism. His response came back in minutes. "Jade, please tell me you're looking at the original right now." I'd called him immediately. "David, I need you to look at this in person before I say anything to anyone." He'd come over that evening with his portable analysis kit. Under UV light, the paper showed the right aging patterns. The pencil composition matched documented techniques. The signature, when magnified, showed the characteristic flourish. "I need to run more tests," David had said, carefully repackaging the sketch. "But Jade, if this is what I think it is, we're looking at a preliminary study, probably early 1920s, Barcelona period. This could be worth $750,000, maybe more." A Picasso. My grandmother had owned a Picasso study and probably never knew it. I'd left it in my safe, waiting for David to arrange laboratory authentication. I hadn't told anyone, not even my parents, especially not Melissa. But now, watching the security feed, I saw Melissa holding that exact sketch. "Is this the one?" she asked Trevor, holding it up to her phone screen. She was comparing it to something. My blood ran cold as I realized what. She'd been in my apartment before. She'd photographed my collection. She knew what I had. I called her. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and innocent. "Hey, Jade. We're just at your place picking up a few things. Put everything back, Melissa. Right now." "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. Mom said Grandma would have wanted the whole family to enjoy these. You can't just hoard them in your little apartment. We have a 4-bedroom house in Oakville. We can actually display them properly. Those were left to me. In Grandma's will, specifically to me." "God, you're so selfish." Her voice shifted, that familiar edge creeping in. The tone that always made our parents rush to her defense. "It's just artwork, Jade. It's not like it's worth anything. Trevor and I are trying to make our house a home. We have kids to think about. But sure, you keep your precious paintings locked away where nobody can see them. Very mature. Melissa, I'm not kidding. Put everything back, lock the door, and leave the key on the counter. We'll talk about this later." She hung up. I watched the feed as they loaded 17 pieces into storage bins. 17 pieces from my collection, including the Picasso sketch. They were laughing as they carried them out. I couldn't focus for the rest of the meeting. My supervisor noticed. "Everything okay, Morrison?" "Family emergency," I managed. "I need to leave early." By the time I got home, my office was ransacked. The drawers of Grandmother's desk hung open. Picture frames lay empty on the floor. Even the appraisal documents I'd been compiling were gone. On my desk, Melissa had left a note in her looping handwriting. "Thanks for the artwork. The living room was looking so bare. Don't worry, I'll take good care of them. After all, family is forever. Love, Mel." I stood there, shaking with rage. This wasn't borrowing, this was theft. But I knew exactly what would happen if I confronted her through the family. My mother would sigh and say, "Just let her borrow them, Jade. Why are you being so difficult?" My father would remind me that Melissa had children, that she needed things more than I did, that family helps family. I called David instead. "She did what?" His voice went sharp with professional alarm. "Jade, that sketch hasn't been fully authenticated yet, but preliminary analysis suggests it's genuine. If she tries to sell it or damage it in any way, we're talking about destruction of cultural heritage, not to mention theft of property worth $750,000. What do I do? Document everything. Timestamps, photos, texts. Then call me back. We need to loop in the legal team." I spent 2 hours photographing my empty office, saving security camera footage, screenshotting text messages, every piece of evidence I could gather. Then I drove to Oakville. Melissa and Trevor's house was exactly what you'd expect. A massive brick colonial in a new development where every house looked identical. 2 luxury SUVs in the driveway. A yard sign announcing the Sutherland family, with little stick figures representing all 4 of them. Picture perfect. I rang the doorbell. Melissa answered, already defensive. "Before you start, Mom knows we're here. She thinks it's a great idea. I want my property back." "Now." "Our property, you mean? Grandma's property. And, since you're being so difficult about sharing, we'll just keep them safe at our house where they can actually be appreciated." She moved to close the door. I put my foot in the way. "Melissa, one of those pieces is worth $750,000. You've committed grand theft. Return everything by tomorrow or I'm filing a police report." She actually laughed. "Yeah, right. Grandma's old sketches are worth that." "You're delusional, Jade. This is why nobody takes your job seriously. You live in a fantasy world." Trevor appeared behind her. "Everything okay?" "Jade's having a meltdown because we borrowed some pictures." I looked at Trevor. "Did she tell you she broke into my condo and stole property from a locked room?" His expression flickered. "Mel said she had permission. That Jade's mom said it was fine." "I never gave permission. Neither did my mother. My mother doesn't have authority over my property anyway. I pulled out my phone, showing him the security footage. This is breaking and entering. Theft. The artwork you're displaying includes a potential Picasso worth $750,000 that's currently being authenticated. If anything happens to it, you're both criminally liable. Trevor's face went white. Mel, you said they were just old decorations worth maybe a few $100. They are. But her voice wavered. She's lying to scare us. She's always been jealous that we have a real home and a real family. I'm giving you 24 hours to return everything, I said calmly. After that, I'm involving law enforcement and my company's legal team. Your choice. I left before she could respond. That night, I got a text from my mother. Jade, your sister is very upset. She was just trying to do something nice for her home. Why are you being so cruel about some old paintings? Can't you just share? I didn't respond. The next morning, David called. The lab results are back. It's authenticated. Genuine Picasso preliminary study for Woman with a Fan, circa 1,923. Current market value estimated at $780,000. There's also a secondary signature on the back that matches documented examples from that period. Jade, this is the find of the decade. It's at my sister's house in Oakville. She stole it yesterday. The silence stretched for 3 seconds. Then, I'm calling our legal department. Don't move. Within an hour, I was sitting in a conference room at Harrington's with David, our chief legal officer Patricia Wong, and a specialist from the art crime team at the RCMP. Detective Sarah Whitmore listened to my statement, watched the security footage, reviewed the documentation. Miss Morrison, this is clear-cut theft, she said. The fact that it's family doesn't change the legal reality. You have a will specifically granting you ownership. You have video evidence of unauthorized entry and removal of property, and the value of the stolen artwork puts this firmly in the category of major theft. I'll need to coordinate with York Region Police since that's where the artwork is currently located, but we can execute a search warrant today. Will I need to press charges? Detective Whitmore glanced at Patricia. Given the value involved and the potential for the artwork to be damaged or sold, we may proceed regardless. But it would be helpful if you're willing to provide a formal statement. I thought about Christmases and birthdays, family dinners where I'd always been the afterthought. I thought about my parents explaining that Melissa needed their financial help more because she had kids. I thought about being told to share, always share, while Melissa took and never gave anything back. I'll provide whatever you need, I said. 2 hours later, I was sitting in my car outside Melissa's house when the police arrived. 2 York Region cruisers and Detective Whitmore's unmarked vehicle. I'd insisted on being there, though Patricia had advised against it. I needed to see this. Melissa opened the door in yoga pants and a designer sweatshirt, clearly expecting a delivery. Her face went through a remarkable transformation when she saw the uniforms. Confusion, then recognition, then panic. Mrs. Sutherland? I'm Detective Whitmore with the RCMP Art Crime Team. We have a warrant to search the premises and seize artwork unlawfully removed from 145 Harvard Street in Toronto. She held up the paperwork. This is insane. Those are family heirlooms. You can't just... Ma'am, the artwork in question was specifically bequeathed to Jade Morrison in a legal will. You removed it from her residence without permission. That constitutes theft. We need you to step aside. Trevor appeared, holding their youngest daughter. What's going on? Your wife is being investigated for theft of property valued at over $1.2 million. I watched the color drain from his face. Their daughter started crying. The officers moved through the house efficiently. I stayed outside, but I could see through the windows. My grandmother's paintings hung throughout their main floor. The Picasso sketch was in their dining room, casually placed between a child's finger painting and a motivational quote about family. No UV protection, no climate control. Just tacked to the wall with regular hooks. It took them 40 minutes to document and remove everything. 17 pieces, carefully photographed, logged, and packed into specialized transport containers. Melissa stood in her driveway, crying. Neighbors had come out to watch. Detective Whitmore approached me. Miss Morrison, we're taking everything to a secure facility for processing. You'll be able to recover your property after the investigation concludes. I have to ask, do you want to pursue criminal charges against your sister? I looked at Melissa. She was 31 years old, married with 2 kids, living in a house our parents had helped them buy. She'd had every advantage, every bit of support, every excuse made for her bad behavior. And she'd still chosen to steal from me. Yes, I said. I want to pursue charges. My mother called 15 minutes later. What have you done? The police were at Melissa's house. They took paintings. Her neighbors saw everything. How could you do this to her? She stole from me, Mom. Over $1 million worth of artwork. Don't be ridiculous. Those are Grandma's old paintings. They're not worth anything. You're destroying your sister's life over your ego. They've been authenticated. One piece alone is worth $780,000. Melissa broke into my condo, stole my property, and was preparing to sell it. That's grand theft. She would never. There are text messages, Mom. She told Trevor she found a private buyer. She was going to sell a Picasso for $200,000 and pocket the money. The line went silent. Then, a Picasso? A genuine Picasso preliminary study. Authenticated by laboratory analysis. Currently estimated at $780,000 at auction. Plus, 16 other pieces worth between $20,000 and $90,000 each. The total collection value is approximately $1.3 million. But Grandma kept them in her attic. Grandma probably didn't know what she had, but that doesn't change the fact that she left them to me, and Melissa stole them. I took a breath. Where did she get the key to my condo? Another long silence. I gave her my emergency key. She said she wanted to surprise you by organizing your office while you were at work. She said you'd been so stressed, and she wanted to help. She lied to you. She used your key to commit a felony. Jade, please. She's your sister. She made a mistake. Can't you just share? The word came out bitter. That's what you were going to say, right? Can't I just share? Like I've shared everything my entire life while she takes whatever she wants? That's not fair. You're right. It's not fair. It's never been fair. But I'm done now, Mom. I'm done sharing. I'm done being the understanding one. I'm done watching Melissa face zero consequences for her actions. I hung up. The next 3 weeks were a blur of legal proceedings. Melissa was charged with break and enter, theft over $5,000, and attempted fraud. Trevor, to his credit, filed for separation immediately. He claimed he'd had no knowledge of the true value and had believed Melissa's story about family property. His lawyer produced text messages where he'd questioned her about the paintings and she'd lied to him. My father tried to intervene. He showed up at my office, something he'd never done before. Jade, I need you to drop the charges. Your sister is falling apart. She could go to prison. She committed a crime, Dad. She's family. So am I. I met his eyes. I've been family my whole life. Where was this concern when Melissa took my university fund? When she borrowed my car and returned it with a cracked bumper? When she told everyone at my graduation party that my degree was useless? When have you ever stood up for me? He looked away. Melissa has children to think about. Melissa should have thought about her children before she committed grand theft. I stood up. I have a meeting. Please leave. The legal process moved faster than I expected. Melissa's lawyer pushed for a plea deal. The prosecutor offered 18 months in minimum security, restitution for my legal fees, and 5 years probation. Melissa would also lose her real estate license, which she'd obtained 2 years earlier. The day of her sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and watched her plead guilty. She cried. Her lawyer talked about her young children, her previously clean record, her remorse. The judge listened, then sentenced her to the full 18 months. Mrs. Sutherland, you didn't just steal from your sister, the judge said. You violated her trust, her home, and her security. You manipulated your mother to gain access to property you knew wasn't yours. You lied to your husband. And when confronted, you showed no remorse. You attempted to sell a culturally significant artwork for a fraction of its value, with no regard for proper channels or legal ownership. This court cannot overlook the calculated nature of your actions. Melissa looked at me as they led her away. Not with remorse, with hatred. My parents sat on her side of the courtroom. They didn't look at me. The collection was returned to me 6 weeks later. David had arranged for everything to be professionally cleaned and assessed. The Picasso was sent to the Art Gallery of Ontario on extended loan, displayed with a plaque reading, "On loan from the Morrison collection." The rest of the pieces were appraised, authenticated, and catalogued. Total value: $1.4 million. My grandmother, who'd lived modestly in a small Ottawa apartment, had quietly accumulated an impressive collection of Canadian and European art over 7 decades. I donated most of it to museums across Canada. The Art Gallery of Ontario got 5 pieces, including the Picasso. The National Gallery in Ottawa received 6, including 2 group of 7 sketches worth over $100,000 each. The Montreal Museum of Fine Arts received 3. Local Ontario galleries received the rest. I kept only 1 piece for myself. A small watercolor of a bird in flight, painted by a Nova Scotia artist in 1962. On the back, in my grandmother's handwriting, "For my little bird, who sees the world differently. Don't ever change." Harrington's gave me a significant promotion, Senior Authentication Director, with a corresponding salary increase. I was invited to lecture at the University of Toronto. Museums started consulting me regularly. My career, the one my family had mocked, had become exactly what I'd hoped. My parents tried to reconcile. My mother sent cards. My father called and left voicemails. They wanted to meet for coffee, to talk, to explain. They saw the news articles about the Picasso discovery. They read about my promotions. Suddenly, my career was interesting. Suddenly, I was someone worth paying attention to. I sent them a single text. "I appreciate the outreach, but I need space right now. I'll reach out when I'm ready." I wasn't sure I'd ever be ready. 6 months after Melissa's sentencing, I was installing a new exhibition at the AGO when a young woman approached me. She was maybe 19, dressed in ripped jeans and a vintage band t-shirt. She looked nervous. "Excuse me, are you Jade Morrison?" "I am. I'm Emma Sutherland. I'm Melissa's daughter. Well, stepdaughter. Trevor's daughter from his first marriage." I remembered her from the house, the teenager who'd been scrolling her phone while police removed artwork from the walls. "I wanted to apologize," she said, "for what Melissa did. Trevor, my dad, he explained everything to me. What she stole, what it was worth, how she lied to everyone. I just wanted you to know that not everyone in the family thinks what she did was okay." "Thank you, Emma. That means a lot." She glanced at the Picasso on the wall behind me. "Is that it? The one she tried to steal?" "That's the one. It's beautiful." She stepped closer, studying the sketch. "I've been reading about Picasso's Barcelona period for my art history class. I didn't know your grandmother had this. I didn't know art could be worth so much." "Are you studying art history?" "Starting in September, at U of T. My mom, my real mom, she's an artist." "Dad said you studied there too?" We talked for 20 minutes. She was bright, enthusiastic, genuinely interested in the work. When she left, she thanked me again for my time. "If you ever need advice about the program, you have my email," I told her. "I know it can be tough when your family doesn't understand the career path." She smiled. "Dad's being really supportive, actually. He said he should have asked more questions about what Melissa was doing. He said he let her control the narrative about your family and he's sorry for that. He wanted me to tell you that too, if I got the chance." After she left, David found me still standing in front of the Picasso. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I think I am. The AGO wants to do a feature on you, the woman who found the lost Picasso. They want to interview you about your career, about authentication work, about your grandmother's collection." "What did you tell them?" "That I'd ask you." "But Jade, this is the kind of publicity that builds careers. Museums, collectors, auction houses, they'll all be paying attention." I thought about my grandmother. taking an 8-year-old to the AGO because she saw something in me that my parents never did. I thought about 5 years of building my expertise, while my family dismissed it as playing with old paintings. I thought about standing my ground, pressing charges, refusing to share when sharing meant enabling theft. Tell them yes, I said. But I want the focus on the work, not the family drama. Of course. The article ran a month later. It was thorough, professional, focused on the authentication process and the importance of art preservation. My family was mentioned only briefly. Miss Morrison discovered the piece among artwork bequeathed to her by her grandmother. I framed a copy and hung it in my office, right next to my grandmother's watercolor of the bird. My mother called after she read it. "Jade, I saw the article. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you. I've been thinking about what you said, about how we treated you differently than Melissa. You were right. We did make excuses for her. We did take you for granted. I'm sorry. I appreciate that, Mom. Could we maybe have coffee sometime? Just talk?" I looked at the watercolor. "Don't ever change." "Maybe. I'll let you know." "Okay. I understand. Take your time." I haven't called her back yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. The thing I've learned is that forgiveness isn't mandatory. Reconciliation isn't required. Some bridges burn because they were built on rotten wood, and sometimes the healthiest thing is to let them burn and build something new somewhere else. I have my work. I have colleagues who respect what I do. I have a reputation I've earned through my expertise, not through family connections or taking shortcuts. I have a grandmother's legacy, preserved in museums, where thousands of people can appreciate it. That's enough. It's more than enough. Because here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your success, or your peace, just because you share DNA. Family is supposed to be the people who build you up, who celebrate your achievements, who respect your boundaries. If they can't do that, they're not family, they're just people you happen to be related to. And you're allowed to choose your peace over their comfort every single time. The work is enough. The cases I authenticate. The histories I uncover. The art I help preserve, that's enough. I don't need my parents' approval anymore. I don't need Melissa's understanding. I don't need to be the bigger person, or the forgiving sister, or the one who shares to keep the peace. I just need to be Jade Morrison, the woman who found a Picasso and built a career her grandmother would be proud of. That's the only validation I need.